What's going on, guys? Joshua here, and all long-running series have their first for many things. Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location was the first game to not mainly take place in an office. Super Mario Odyssey was the first open-world Mario game. And Pokemon Sun and Moon was the first bad Pokemon game. But we're not going to talk about those series, we're here to talk about Sonic. And as the game series is over 30 years old, it's had a lot of firsts. Sonic Adventure, it was the first true 3D Sonic game. Sonic 3D Blast might have a word to say about that, however, that thing was barely 3D. Sonic Heroes was the first Sonic game made for a not Sega console. Sonic Frontiers was the first open world Sonic game, I guess. But of course, there's Sonic 3, the first Sonic game to lie. Yeah, Sonic 3 wasn't the first Sonic game. At best, it was 4th, and at worst, it's like 9th. How the hell are there 9 Sonic games in 3 years? I have a lot of memories of Sonic 3. A lot more than 1, 2, or CD. I remember going downstairs into my living room at like 6:45 in the morning to play both Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles back to back on Sonic Mega Collection, because doing that 20 times unlocks Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Especially painful since Sonic & Knuckles doesn't have a save system. Sonic 3 by itself has a special place in my heart. It's my second favorite classic Sonic game if we aren't including Mania, and the combined Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Here's my tier list if you're interested. So what makes Sonic 3 so good that it ranks B, but it needs its little brother to push it forward? Well, I'm glad I asked, because that's the perfect segue into the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 review. God, this is cringy. Now for the story. I should say up front, I'm only looking at Sonic 3 by itself, not the combined Sonic 3 and Knuckles. They were supposed to be one game, but they had to be split due to time constraints and Ronald McDonald. No, I'm not kidding. After the events of Sonic 2, Dr. Robotnik and the Death Egg crashed into Angel Island, a floating island. Robotnik himself fell in the Hidden Palace, alongside the Master Emerald, and this new character, Knuckles the Echidna. Knuckles here is the guardian of the Master Emerald, and is about to punch the evil scientist, but then the fat man remembers he has an IQ of 300 and quickly comes up with a lie saying he was attacked by Sonic, and that Sonic is after the emeralds, and that Sonic is evil, and whatnot. Knuckles, who has no real reason to distrust Eggman at this point, teams up with him. Soon later, Sonic arrives on Angel Island with Tails. He goes super for protection, but is jumped by Knuckles the Echidna and knocked out of his super form. Knuckles then steals the emeralds before Sonic can react, and runs off. To be fair, Super Sonic is invincible. If I was Sonic, and I got knocked out of my super form by a non-super Echidna, I would be pretty shocked too. Sonic and Tails must blast process their way through Angel Island, collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds again to stop Robotnik from launching the Death Egg once again. All the while, Robotnik and Knuckles are trying to impair their progress. This is where the story splits from what we're used to. Once Sonic defeats Robotnik's final contraption, the Death Egg falls to the ground and explodes. Sonic gets his victory pose. Roll credits. Yeah, this game by itself has a weird story to dissect. Sonic 3 by itself seemingly ends the trilogy and doesn't continue. Ever. However, Sonic and Knuckles tells the canon story we're all used to. Even though the two games are supposed to be one. Getting the good ending in Sonic 3, you're done! However, then Sonic and Knuckles picks off where the game is supposed to leave off, so it's confusing, okay? I do really like this story. It's a lot more in-depth than 1 and 2, while still building off those games. Though, in Sonic 3 by itself, I don't think we learn much about Knuckles in-game. You have to go to the manual for that. On to the game itself with Angel Island Zone. Yes, Angel Island Zone. The island we're on is called Angel Island. Literally every zone in the game could have been called Angel Island Zone. We're off to a bad start. No, you're just being nitpicky. At least it ain't the Green Hill stage. She has a point, you know. This is the first 16-bit Sonic game to not start with the Green Hill type stage. I believe Sonic 2 SMS and Sonic Spinball were the only Sonic games at this point that didn't start with one of these. And even then, Sonic 2 SMS had Green Hill's Zone, which is very much a Green Hill type stage. It's just smack down in the middle for some reason. Angel Island is its own thing, and I love it. This ain't Angel Island Hill, this is Angel Island, bitch! The first half of Act 1 is a lush jungle paradise. You can drown in the first freaking level. I really like this luscious scene. It really feels like I'm in Hawaii. Too bad it's gone almost immediately. Well, this is kind of annoying. Halfway through Act 1, Sonic encounters a horde of fire breaths, and they torch up the island. This leads into how, now, instead of Act 1 and 2 being the same thing, like in Sonic 1, 2, and CD, they have different backgrounds and music, most of the time. Yeah, this is cool, but the fire breath is the mini-boss, another addition to the gameplay. So, why not have the island become torched when Sonic kills that thing? Like what they did with Oil Ocean Zone in Sonic Mania. When the Meteor Droid is defeated, Oil Ocean lights up. They should have done that with Angel Island. Instead, you have Act 1 and 2 feeling really similar. What especially perplexes me is, despite the new look, there is absolutely zero difference in gameplay. This isn't a fire-themed level now. It's the same as Act 1, just with a fiery reskin. Replace the fire sprites with normal ones and nothing changes. This doesn't feel like a starting level. It's too cramped and claustrophobic. Compare this to Green Hill Zone, Palm Tree Panic, Emerald Hill. I know I gave praise to there not being a hill type stage, but this just doesn't feel like a starting area. The only real open part is at the end, which is also the highest part of the zone, the airship. You know, the part where Tails eats total shit for like 35 seconds. Then there's the boss. I don't like this guy. Egg Scorcher MK3 appears over a death pit, and I've made it abundantly clear how much I hate death pits. I see speedrunners bounce on this guy and then dash to safety, and I wish I had the steel balls they do. Although the fire shield is really easy, I don't actually think he can hurt you. So yeah, Ancient Island, not my favorite, not my least favorite. It's fine. All the nitpicks I have about it don't really matter in the long run. I always miss the Green Hill stages in comparison. In those stages, I feel free. Man, I really don't like it here. Wait, Knuckles, don't blow the Hydro City Zone. I don't like this zone. It is my least favorite zone in the whole package. And yes, I am including Sonic and Knuckles in the whole package. Hydro Shitty Zone, as I like calling it, it's not fun. And it's not because of the water level. I actually tend to like water levels in Sonic. Labyrinth Zone. Okay, I guess it's just like Labyrinth Zone. But beyond that, Seaside Hill in Generations, Aqua Planet in Sonic Chaos, Aquarium Park in Sonic Colors. There's a lot of good water levels in Sonic. Hydro City makes me throw up. The music of Act 1 is so slow and puts me to sleep. Can music slog? Cause Hydro City Act 1 definitely slogs. It's like it's trying to be fast-paced, unlike previous water levels, but it's failing miserably and makes me sick. It feels so empty, and like, it feels like nothing. It actually starts off cool with a moving wall I really like, and then we're back to the lame verse. Neither of the bosses are particularly interesting as Sonic either. Whip Motion can be easily cheesed with the Bubble Shield or Insta Shield, and what is his only real attack supposed to do? Egg Vortex is kind of annoying as Knuckles, but as Sonic you can easily Bubble Shield into him and kill him very quickly. I didn't know he had a bomb attack until I played as Knuckles, because the Bubble Shield kills him super quickly as Sonic, but with Knuckles he can't use the Bubble Shield, making it much harder. This entire zone isn't fun. And what's worse, they brought it back in Mania! I have no idea what Hydro City is supposed to be. I thought it was a sewer system at first, which is another reason to call it Hydro City, I guess. You know, Josh, you complained a lot about the first two zones. How is this your second favorite Sonic game? Marble Garden Zone is the best zone in the entire game, and I'll be hearing no opposing viewpoints otherwise. I've always loved ancient ruin settings in games, and Marble Garden is just that. I love how fast you can go, and the amount of rings, oh my god. You think Sonic gets motion sick going this fast? There's more big rings here than any other zone, which makes obtaining Super Sonic a breeze. I feel like I'm walking through an ancient city that loved nature. And guess who has two thumbs and loves nature? Millions of people, but also me. Unlike Angel Island and Hydro City, Marble Garden, I think, balances out the speed and platforming perfectly. You also have the bosses appearing early in both Act 1 and 2, which I think is nice. I wish more zones did this. Sadly, Marble Garden is largely forgotten. Angel Island is the first zone, so it's pretty iconic. Hydro City got remade in Mania, Carnival Night, Ice Cap is known for its music and same with Launch Base. But I stand by my stance that Mario Garden needs more love. You know my Sonic Music Swap series? This is the only zone in Sonic 3 I can't music swap. The Act 2 boss, Egg Drifter MK2, is my favorite. Robotnik slams to the ground, causing it to collapse, then Tails grab onto Sonic and the fight continues in the air. I don't care how many game overs I get fighting this guy, this is freaking awesome! I remember I lost all of my rings super early on and had to memorize his patterns to slowly and painfully finish him off. Act 2 as a whole is really fun. I love the calmer music matching the afternoon sky. Fun fact, this is the only zone in Sonic 3 that doesn't include water. It's basically Aquatic Ruin, but without the weird level design. It's actually one of the few zones that loops vertically instead of horizontally, meaning you can do this. Oh crap. That's not what I wanted to do. I so would have preferred this zone to Hydro City or Sorta Speedway in Sonic Mania. I used to watch Sonic Mania level mod for eating cereal in the morning. If I recall, Sorta Speedway is often replaced with Marble Golden, which makes sense, they share a lot of the same assets. This is a coincidence my favorite zones in my two favorite classic Sonic games both have Marble in the title. Oh shit, Carnival Night Zone. Blah! This is an infamous one, and if you're a nerd, you probably know why. Carnival Night Zone is the game's equivalent to Marble Zone or something like that. The difference is, Marble Zone is challenging for new players, and at the time, nobody knew what Sonic was. Sonic was new. While Carnival Night had a puzzle before the internet. I'm of course referring to the Power of Doom. How do I do a Scottish accent? These barrels in Carnival Night is why the zone is so infamous. And since I have little attachment to this zone, I'm going to talk about that. These barrels can be treated as an obstacle or a tool to reach higher places. Some of them move on a set path, and others only move when you step on them. The game never tells you how these things work, so if you're a kid in the 90s, how are you supposed to know pressing up and down the D-pad made the loose barrels move? In Act 2, there's this big room with a barrel you need to move to progress, and the only way to do that is by pressing up and down. The barrel wobbles when jumped on, but with it not being immediately obvious what to do, you're going to be jumping on the barrel over and over and over until... Yeah, many kids didn't get past this section. Reading about it on Sonic Retro, it says that so many people were stumped by this thing, it was a regularly asked question in gaming magazines. You couldn't just Google how to get past the barrel in Sonic 3, because the internet was still in its infancy. Hell, Google didn't even exist yet. In Sonic Origins, they added an animation when pressing up and down on these barrels, which not only is a really cool thing they didn't need to add, but it also makes it obvious that pressing up and down these barrels is doing something. What isn't a cool little thingy in Sonic Origins is the music in Carnival Night. I don't fully understand this stuff, but all zones going forward have two soundtracks, the MJ soundtrack and the unused prototype soundtrack. By MJ, I mean Michael Jackson. Yes, Michael f***ing Jackson. He worked on Sonic 3. The MJ Carnival Night music sounds like it's a depressed adult trying to be happy, although the prototype music is appropriately happy. What else do you want me to say here? There's water. Knuckles turns off the lights in Act 2. Wow, it didn't do anything. Does Knuckles know hedgehogs and foxes are nocturnal? Why did they waste time coding this? Also, there's the mini-boss. Jesus man, censor that. Pop quiz, what was the first Sonic Snow level? Well, since you're talking about Sonic 3, it was probably Ice Cap. Wrong! It was Icy Isle Zone from the iconic 1993 arcade game Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog. Ice Cap Zone may not have been the first snow level in the series, but it might as well have been because who has actually played this game? So I'm giving Ice Cap Zone the honorary first snow level award. And what a good way to start it. Ice Cap Zone's incredibly fun. It's hard times trying to hit on it. Boo! As much as I love this zone, there's still some nitpicks I'm willing to nitpick about. As Sonic, and only Sonic, Ice Cap Zone starts with a snowboard section that lasts like 30 freaking seconds. Knuckles gets teleported from Carnival Night, and Tails and Amy... After that, The rest of Act 1 is inside a large cavern until the very end, which is in Arctic Ocean? We were just high in the mountains. Why are we in Canada all of a sudden? You never see the outside background ever again. I do like how fast-paced this zone is. I just wish Act 1 took place outside more. Act 2 has a few underground sections and above ground sections it switches between. However, again, the background is entirely different. Outside is always more interesting because it poses a serious question of where the hell are we? These little penguin bandits are so freaking cute. This zone's music is well known for being part of a song called Hard Times. So if you go to a comment section with this song, that's why everybody is saying that. This is a cool zone, definitely my favorite MJ zone, but with how often you're looking at this, it's not the first zone I'm jumping to in the final select. I would love to see it remade in the modern age. It would be so cool.
Pun entirely intended.
But, as much as I love this zone, there's not much else to talk about it. We're in the endgame now, with Launch-Based Zone. There's an infinite lives trick within the first 10 seconds. And you're definitely going to need it on your first playthrough. I sure as hell did. Act 1 is very long and a little difficult, but surprisingly fast-paced for a final zone. Probably because it was never intended to be the final zone. This part with the rotating platform and the spikes stumped me as a kid. And when I got past it, there was a badnik that killed me or I hit the spring. Gah! Thankfully in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, they removed those spikes so you can easily speed past it. Knuckles commits domestic terrorism in Act 1. Act 2 is harder and way more boring. Act 1 has a death egg in the background, while 90% of Act 2's background is sky. Both acts are very long, and for some reason contain big rings. Why does Robonic's base contain big rings? Isn't he trying to get the Chaos Emeralds? That damn go sound effect has been tattooed into my brain. Tiny Joshua struggled so much on Launch-Based Zone. That was mainly due to the ending. The final challenge of Sonic 3. The ending of Launch-Based Zone is a boss rush. First up, Egg Cannon. Robotnik shoots his balls at you, and you need to use the platform to reach him, or just stand on him with Super or Lightning Shield to bounce on top of him. Tails commits die, and Sonic jumps into the Eggmobile. Knuckles is here again. The Death Egg is launching, but not before Robotnik has a final showdown in the Egg Rocket. Gameplay. Yeah, Egg Rocket is a real joke. Most people just damage boost if you're not supersonic. The sky goes dark. Robotnik falls in the background. That's right, it's Big Arms! This is probably my favorite final boss in Classic Sonic. I love how the sky darkens as Robotnik attacks. And also, the boss design. Mwah! Amazing. He looks so cool! Plus the epic music in the background. I didn't think this song could be even more peak until Sonic Generations 3DS. Holy shit! I think the coolest part of Big Arms is a glitch. In the original Sonic 3, he could damage Supersonic. It was just a bug. Every other version of Sonic 3 that has Big Arms after, Supersonic just bounces off him. But still, I wish they kept that. I know Supersonic's supposed to be this uber powerful being, and that's what makes this more intense. Not even Supersonic can handle the power of Big Arms. And hey, maybe if Supersonic was portrayed as weaker at the start, we wouldn't get the constant, overused, and boring Supersonic final bosses we get nowadays. Now, it's good to me that Big Arms was only created to be the final boss of Sonic 3. When the game had to be split, the Sonic 3 portion didn't have a final boss. So they probably just whipped up Big Arms because in the combined Sonic 3 and Knuckles, he's not there. However, Sonic Origins brought back Big Arms in this part of the fight. And it's still cool, just not as cool as before because they didn't trigger the credits. The original Genesis fight took forever for Tiny Joshua to beat. It feels like any part you can't hurt, hurts you. I was so happy when he finally exploded, the Death Egg falling into the background, exploding itself. Roll credits. The credits theme, man. Oh, perfect. It forgoes the tradition of mixing all the zone's themes, but it's still really good. After playing through the game for the first time, I feel like this melody makes the ending a lot more satisfying, like you just experienced history, and the black background, to me, adds to that. It's like the credits is saying, you've saved the world, but now, there's nothing else to see, and you can move on to a greater adventure. When I graduated elementary school during lockdown, a very low accomplishment I know, I built my school in Minecraft, and when I showed it off to the school teachers and my classmates to say goodbye, I played this song. Sonic 3 by itself already has a special place in my heart. And so this song being associated with such a big transition in my tiny little life, it makes the credits feel more comfy and warm. But enough of the heartwarming heavy talk, let's get back to the funny, stupid stuff. Blue spheres. Collect all the blue spheres and avoid hitting the red ones, because if you do, yeah, this is one of those special stages you either love or you hate. I feel like that sums up the entire Sonic fandom. I like it personally, but I know someone who doesn't, and his reasoning, yeah, I can kind of understand it a bit. In the combined Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you unlock Super Sonic by playing 7 blue sphere stages to get the 7 Chaos Emeralds. But once you enter Mushroom Hill Zone, you can play through 7 more blue sphere stages to get the 7 Super Emeralds to unlock Hyper Sonic, the ultimate transformation for Sonic. That's 14 blue sphere stages. That's a whole lot of... It's a very simple special stage to describe. And for once, I actually feel like I'm in control of my failure. Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Sonic CD, they all feel like I'm fighting the game to pass. Blue spheres? Every mistake and failure, it feels like it's my fault because Tails isn't fucking me over. Though, I still kind of prefer Sonic 1 special stage. I like the music, and it feels like I'm drunk. While it feels like I'm in less control of Sonic, it also feels like I'm doing less work. Blue spheres is a close second, then Sonic 2's Half Pipe, and then fuck you Sonic CD's UFOs. The way you enter these stages is different too. You find giant rings all over the levels, and jumping into them throws you into the special stage. No more holding 50 rings to a signpost or checkpoint. Just get in, fuck up, get out, and find another. The checkpoints instead take you to the bonus stage, and in Sonic 3, there's only one. It's the Gumball one. I came looking for a lightning shield, I found 3 extra lives. Speaking of the lightning shield, I guess I can discuss the power-ups. I didn't discuss them in my previous Sonic reviews because, honestly, I had no idea what I was doing back then. There's still the traditional 10 rings, extra life, invincibility, speed shoes, but Sonic 3 introduces 3 new power-ups. The Fire Shield, the Bubble Shield, and the Lightning Shield. The Fire Shield protects you from fire damage and gives you a dash attack. It's kinda worthless in this game since there's only like one fire hazard that doesn't come from a boss, and it's in Launch Base Zone. It's good against X-Scorcher MK3 though. The Bubble Shield is pretty cool. It prevents Sonic from drowning and gives you a bounce attack. This is the life. And the Lightning Shield, this is the one you want at all times. It protects you from electric hazards, which is even less common than fire ones. I think there's only one, and it's in the Chronicle Night Zone boss. But it also gives you a double jump and attracts rings. I don't know how gold isn't magnetic. Google says gold actually repels magnets. But who cares, this power-up is amazing. I always want the Lightning Shield on me, especially in Mario Garden or Super Sonic. Fortunately, the Fire Shield and Lightning Shield die in water, so in 100 City, they're kinda useless. And another sad thing, the normal shield in Sonic 1 got the boot to make way for these 3. Yeah, the old shield is really boring compared to the new 3 shields, but I still kinda miss it. At least the 4 shields can exist in peace in the best Sonic game, Sonic Mania. Sonic also has the Insta-Shield as his moveset. It can pierce armor like Orbinauts and Caterpillar Juniors, and it attacks farther than not, if that makes sense. And of course, though technically not a power-up, it's Super Sonic. He works exactly like he did in Sonic 2. He has 7 Chaos Emeralds and 50 rings. Activate him and speed through. Faster, can jump higher, invincible. But unlike Sonic 2, Super Sonic doesn't feel totally mindless. I don't know what it is, but playing as Super Sonic in Sonic 3 feels so good, while Sonic 2 it feels like a walking simulator. However, Super Sonic in Sonic 2 has one thing on Sonic 3's, and that's music. Of course I'm going to talk about the game music. I'm a musician, why wouldn't I? When activating Super Sonic, there's no exclusive music for him, it just plays the Invincibility theme. 2 didn't do this, it had its own theme for Super Sonic, and so did Mania, Generations, 4, Superstars, you get it. Sonic 3's music is weird to say the least. Looking at the MJ soundtrack, Angel Island, Hydro City, and Marble Garden all have proper Act 2 music. The rest don't. Those zones just mute instruments randomly. It is very weird. Still, there's plenty of good tracks. Here's some of my favorites from the MJ soundtrack. Now for something I didn't have to talk about in Sonic 1, 2, and CD, and that's the sprites.
Ugh.
Starting with Sonic, God I hate this sprite. It just looks weird. I get why they changed it. Sonic 1, 2, and CD had nearly identical sprites, with the only major change being color. But this looks so bad. Sonic's hands and feet are too big, his spine feels too thick, he looks pissed off when running. Sonic 3, he looks bloated. He's simultaneously too big and too small. I'm so glad Mania based his sprites off of Sonic 2 instead of Sonic 3. Tails looks almost identical to how he did in Sonic 2. But in certain animations, namely his flying sprite, he looks kind of fat. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, I'm not body shaming here, but he just looks like he's full of air compared to Sonic 2. Knuckles is fine. Robotnik, on the other hand, I don't know what it is, maybe it's the colors or his soulless black eyes, but Robotnik in this game compared to Sonic 1 and 2, he looks so weird and just no. I would say he looks worse in Sonic CD if he wasn't facing forward most of the time. However, in Sonic 3, he always looks like this, and it just looks wrong. So that's Sonic 3. A good game overall, even without the Knuckles attachment. Though half the zones are at best just okay, music isn't very good for half the Act 2s, and the sprites, bleh. I still love this game. Mario Garden and Ice Cat do a lot of heavy lifting for the game's rating. Ninja Island and Launch Base are pretty enjoyable. Cloud of Night is tolerable when you're just playing through. And even though I don't like Hydro City, it's really early and not too long, being the second zone in the game, so I guess it's fine. It has some of the best highs in the music department. And the bad sprites, you're not going to notice that when you're playing. The levels are fun, the boss fights and level transitions are neat, mostly. What's really holding it back is that it ends too quickly. It starts revving up around Launch Base Zone, and then it ends. Which is another reason why I like Sonic 1 more. Scrap Rain feels more like an epic finale than Launch Base did. Probably because Launch Base isn't the epic finale. But that's best left for a later video. So get ready for my discussion on Sonic the Hedgehog 15. Why?